Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are still filming in Tallinn here in Estonia, and we're going to stick to one of the local breweries that no doubt many of you will have heard of already. But this beer is a little bit different compared to a number of things that I've reviewed for you before, and I think this is only the second or maybe third beer that I've reviewed in this category on the channel ever. So hopefully it's quite an interesting one. For this review then, we are going to return to Põhjala, who are very well known across Europe these days, and we're having a look at a non-alcoholic beer this time. So this one is the Virmalised or Virmalised I guess you could say, and it's basically a non-alcoholic version, or very low alcohol version I guess we should say, of their Virmalised IPA. So Virmalised, as I told you in the last review, translates into English as Northern Lights or Aurora Borealis, however you want to refer to it, hence the lovely artwork on this one. And yeah, this one is a low, non-alcoholic IPA brewed with spruce tips, so this should be really quite interesting. From what I gather, from what a number of beer shop owners and brewers and things have told me, it's a bit of a trend recently to brew low alcohol and non-alcohol beers here in Estonia. So yeah, there's quite a few of these on the market actually, but this beer was given to by Untappd, one of the owners of Põhjala, so a huge thank you to him once again for making this review possible. I hadn't seen this one in the shops actually, so it'll be very interesting to see how this one turns out. I really like the original Virmalised, so hopefully this one turns out to be just as good as that, and as I say, very curious with this one. So I reviewed this beer after the original Virmalised because I think when it comes to low and non-alcohol beers, you really want to compare them to how they are to the original, if you like. So we'll try and do a little bit of that in this video as well. But very nice to try another beer from Põhjala once again, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. And if you do have any non-low alcohol recommendations for me, do let me know those in the comments section below. It would be great to hear some of those, and because this is a category that I guess I really need to address a little bit more here on the channel. So yeah, let's see how we got on then. As always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Põhjala before, and no doubt there will be some more added to that in the near future. There's all the usual social media down there too. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Estonian beers that I've reviewed for you. That's going to be added to fairly regularly over the next few months. And as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then, to tell you a little bit about Põhjala once again. So as I've mentioned to you already, Põhjala are based in Tallinn, the capital city in Estonia on the north coast, and the company was founded by Peter Cake, Ian Parrell, Grain Normans, and they were later joined early on by Tid Pannanen. So the group apparently went on a fact-finding trip to Brewdog in Scotland after the Punk IPA beer reached Estonia, and for many people the Punk IPA was the kind of gateway beer to the American styles of craft beer. Very common kind of beer journey, that, if you like. But it was there that two of the founders who were interning at Brewdog encountered Chris Pilkington, who then went on to join them as their head brewer. So Chris had actually graduated in marketing, but he was an avid home brewer, and he was producing some very interesting beers on the pilot kit. So the guys were on the phone to N, and they said, right, well, there's a brewer here who's very talented, and they kind of poached him, if you guess, from Brewdog. But although Brewdog were very supportive of this move, they brought Chris to Estonia, and he is now one of the co-owners of the company. And the beers are basically his babies. He is their main man when it comes to brewing. But the company, Põhjala, of course, was founded officially back in 2012, and then from 2013 they began to do some gypsy brewing at a few other breweries around Tallinn. The name Pohjala was chosen, meaning Northern Realm, and they wanted something Estonian, but they wanted the name to be like dark and mysterious. The first beer that they released was the O, which is their kind of Imperial Baltic Porter. Actually, I still need to review that one for you on the channel, but they wanted a name that kind of reflected this, and also the fact that these guys were, you know, from a northern country, if you like. So if you watch my interview that I did with N and Chris, N explains it very, very well. But these guys went on to open up their own brewery a little bit later in May of 2014. This was opened up in the Nome district to the south of the city. They had an initial capacity there of around 12 hectolitres of beer per year, but this was scaled up considerably over the years. Their exports started in 2015, and now this brewery are known quite widely throughout Europe as well as further afield. I've seen the Pohjala beers over in Japan, actually. Koji at Liquor Shop Asahiya in Osaka, he gets quite a few of these Pohjala beers in, and you know, it's good to know that I can still get Estonian beer if I ever move over there. But the brewery, this original brewery that they had a little tap room with 24 different taps on it, but later in 2018 they moved to a new brewery in the Noblessner shipyard in northern Tallinn, which was very active in the kind of early parts of the 20th century. But this brewery has a new 50 hectolitre brew house from Rolek in Germany, and an even bigger tap room. They've got a restaurant there which serves American barbecue, and at the moment they are apparently considering opening up a bakery, because they've got a very talented, the head chef's wife of the restaurant is a pastry chef and apparently very, very talented, so they're looking to open up a little kind of bakery section, if you like. But as of August 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, Pohjala have produced around 70 different kinds of beer, and no doubt that will continue to expand in the future. But yeah, this one should be really interesting. Like I said, this beer is my first non-alcoholic beer for quite a while, actually, come to think of it, and yeah, it should hopefully be a very, very interesting one. So I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork of this before we open it up. And you can see very, very similar to the original Virmalised. I'm just trying to remember where my bottle opener has gone, because it has disappeared. There it is. There it is down there. Yeah, I was wondering what I'd done with that. But yeah, lovely artwork on this one. As you can see, once again, the kind of northern lights there. And this time we have the white Pohjala bottle cap on this one. So yeah, this one, it says a refreshing citrus forward non-alcoholic IPA brewed with spruce tips and served between 6 to 10 degrees, again because of the very high temperatures we have in Estonia at the moment. The 9th of August 2020. You know, this bottle has been sweating since we brought it out of the fridge. It's not even that hot in here actually, but you know, it kind of goes to show you it's just a little bit crazy, if you like, of course. A little bit of thermodynamics for you there. What happens is, as the bottle kind of gives its heat to the surroundings, then you get water condensation on the bottle. Lovely stuff. But yeah, let's get this guy out then, and we will get on with the tasting. Curious about this. Spruce tips. You know, this is something I have seen used by Pohjala before in their beers, and it does tend to work out pretty nicely actually. But yeah, so as you can see with this one, and as you would expect from any sort of IPA, this one's poured a lovely, it's quite a hazy one this actually. It definitely looks like a sort of New England type IPA, this one. It's a lot hazier than the original Virmalised, which is quite interesting. So yeah, does it say, does this one have on the back, it says the ingredients here, it's got oats and lactose in it, this one, as well as hops. But yeah, should be quite interesting. Like I say, they've added spruce tips to this one as well. You can see when this beer poured, it had about a quarter finger of a frothy, kind of creamy coloured head. Yeah, it's faded away just to be a very thin foamy layer. Now there's one or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, but yeah, definitely a hell of a lot hazier than the original Virmalised actually. So yeah, this one looks a lot more like a New England IPA, whereas the original Virmalised was more of a kind of West Coasty leaning IPA, but more of a kind of modern take on the West Coast rather than anything. But it did sort of straddle the line between New England and West Coast fairly well. But yeah, appearance wise, a little bit surprising that it is so hazy, to be honest with you. So yeah, let's have a look at the aroma then and just see how we get on. So yeah, this actually smells pretty nice. It comes across as very bready and grainy. You do get a nice little bit of a kind of white bready quality out of this one. You can smell a little bit of the oaty kind of creaminess coming out of the beer as well. The spruce tips make it interesting. You can definitely smell a little bit of that kind of piney, that sort of almost like piney freshness, if you like. Spruce smells just a little bit different, but you know, it's kind of similar, to be honest. That sort of conifer type aroma, I guess you could say. But yeah, it smells very, very fresh, this one. I'm not sure exactly. I can't remember what N said about how fresh this batch was. It probably, you know, it's from the brewery. It's going to be, you know, a week at most, I would guess. But yeah, the aroma of this is very nice. It really just smells like a kind of standard New England IPA, if you like, albeit a little bit more of a kind of malty leaning one. So yeah, lovely white bready notes coming out of it, big oaty creaminess, a little bit of a biscuity sweetness, maybe a teeny tiny touch of a kind of stronger caramel, if you like. The spruce tips come out of it quite nicely. They give it a lovely freshness. There's a good bit of grassiness on the green side of the hops. There's a little bit of floral aromaticity there, and there's a wee there is a little bit of kind of earthiness, and there's a wee tiny little bit of earthiness in there as well. On the fruity side of things, it comes across, it's very soft and kind of tropical, this one. There's a little bit, you know, there is a wee bit of a kind of mango-y quality to it. I do wonder if there is citra in this, but it almost smells a little bit kind of like Victoria's Secret, or something that's got that kind of softer tropically note out of it. Yeah, very soft kind of tropical notes, mangoes, a little bit of an apricot-y note in there, I would say. Yeah, soft tropical notes, definitely. And the spruce tips kind of come out of that. There's maybe a wee touch of a lemon, a sort of lemony zestiness to it as well, maybe a bit of centennial, who knows. But yeah, the aroma of that is very, very nice actually. Very, very fresh, very, very light, but it really smells more like a New England, this one. So it comes across quite differently from the original Virmalised. I think definitely more New Englandy, whereas the other one kind of, the original sort of straddled that line between New England hazy and West Coast. I guess you could call it like a modern IPA almost for 2020. But yeah, the aroma of this I think is pretty nice and pretty interesting. It's not too pungent, this one. It's quite a soft and kind of subtle aroma almost, but I like it. I do like it, and that's the main thing. It's always the question. The main question for these reviews should be, do you like the beer? And I think the aroma of this one is pretty nice. So yeah, take a bit of time and enjoy that, but we're going to get stuck into this beer now. This one is the Virmalised, the non-alcohol version. It says on the back, it says lower, alcohol is lower than 0.5% ABV. So yeah, let's get stuck in. Sláinte, skål, Tervisix. Yeah, it's pretty nice actually. What I would say about this beer, first impression, when you take it in, it actually is very, very wet and almost like a little touch watery, but really this beer thickens out as you go into the aftertaste. The flavour in this one, it's one of these beers where the flavour really grows in the aftertaste. So yeah, I have to say on the very first sip I took of it, I was a little worried, but then it really kind of thickens up a little bit and just reveals itself a wee bit more, which is quite nice. Interesting. Yeah, I like this. You know, I have to say, thumbs up to Pohjala for this. This is pretty damn solid actually. It's actually quite different from, I do find this one fairly different from the Virmalised. It's got some of the same properties in fairness, like the way the spruce tips are coming out gives you the same impression that the sort of Columbus would give you on the hoppy side of things. You know, if I was still with N and I was tasting these beers, I would ask him, like, why would you not just call this something else? Because I really think it is quite different to Virmalised. The oats and things definitely make it feel quite different to the original Virmalised. So I do wonder what the motivation with that side of it was, but yeah. But yeah, it is a nice beer. It is good. So yeah, if you want a nice non-alcoholic beer, I don't know how widely available this is going to be throughout Europe or whatever. I think it's quite unlikely that a non-alcoholic beer would be exported too widely, in fairness. But yeah, this is pretty solid actually. This would, you know, if this was in the Systembolaget in Sweden, I would be quite happy with that, yeah. So yeah, let's try and break down this flavour a little bit then. So straight away with this beer, you feel a little bit of that. It's quite wet when it comes in, as I said, but you feel a little bit of that pale malty quality just blanketing the middle of your tongue. If you go towards the back of your palate there, you do get a little kind of touch of graininess out of it. You can feel a bit more kind of graininess from the sort of pale malty notes, but as you move into the middle of your palate, if you go towards the front of that middle third of your tongue, you've got a bit of oaty creaminess there. Just go behind it a little bit and there's a wee bit of a kind of biscuity quality to the beer. There is a nice little bit of a kind of biscuity, Werther's originally type sweetness in the middle of the palate there, which is quite nice. The thing that's nice about it though is it does retain a kind of nice sort of freshness and crispness to it, which I like, and you do feel the bitterness building in this one the further that you go into the aftertaste. I have to say, this is well done. You know, that is one of the things. Pohjala are not going to put a bad product out there, so if this wasn't good enough, it's not going out, obviously. But, you know, this, I've kind of, in fairness, I have steered away from non-alcohol beers. And it was the main reason I guess I would review this one. I probably wouldn't buy this beer myself, in honesty. But having tried it, I'm really glad that N gave me one of these to have a go at, because it's really interesting. It is actually very, very interesting how it goes together. And it's nicely done. I mean, it's got a good chunk of flavour to it, which is what you want. My complaint about the non-alcohol beers before was quite a few of the ones I had tasted bad, to be honest with you. But it seems to be there's new methods developing to make these things. I mean, I was under the impression until I talked to N and Chris that the only real way you could do these was to basically boil the alcohol out, and in that way you would mess up a lot of the sugars and things like that you have in the beer. But a lot of it's done by centrifuge and things like that now, which is quite interesting. So there's lots of different methods. You can also use like a sort of what's the word I'm looking for, a membrane system to get the alcohol molecules out of there. So that's another way to do it. I think it was Aero at Puhasta that was telling me that you can do this too, because I think he's got a few non-alcohol beers on the go, if I remember rightly, as well. But yeah, the middle of the palate on this one is fairly straight up. Like I say, a little bit of biscuit, a little bit of Werther's Original in the centre of the palate, a little bit of a kind of pale malty note underneath, more kind of creamy and oaty towards the front part of the tongue there. But yeah, on the hoppy side of this beer then, back corners of the palate, you do get a little touch of earthiness out of the beer. As you come further forward, you can feel a nice little bit of floral aromaticity to this one. I do wonder if there is a bit of Columbus in this, because it has got that kind of typical Columbus type spiciness to it. As you go round the front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy, but in fairness, you can feel, I think around the kind of front edge of the palate, you can feel the spruce tips playing a fairly big role in this beer, I think, and it works very, very well. The hoppy side of this beer, as I say, I think my main question with this is it similar to the Virmalised? The malt base I don't think is, but I think some of the hoppy flavours you get out of it, and obviously I include the spruce tips in that, they are fairly similar, I think. So I can sort of half see why they would call it Virmalised, and I can kind of I could maybe see why I might suggest half that that they wouldn't. They would name it something else. But yeah. It is. It's quite nice, this one. It is pretty good. So yeah, fruity side of things then. Let's focus on that. So behind the front curve of the palate, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters come out of the beer. For me, this it's mainly a kind of soft mango-y note that you get out of it. There's a little bit of apricot maybe, I think Citra, I do reckon there is Citra still in this one. I think there's Columbus in it as well, and those were two of the hops that were in that last beer. There's maybe, it's very soft and kind of tropical, this one, and there's a little bit of a slightly gooseberry note there behind the front curve of the tongue. It's one of the complexities you can get from Citra, so I think this one probably does have the same hop bill, if you like, as the original Virmalised, and that's maybe why, probably why, they've gone with that on this one. But yeah, it says on the back here there is a bit of lactose in this, and you don't notice that too much, in fairness. That's an interesting point. You don't notice the lactose in this beer all that much. But yeah, it is pretty damn solid, this one, I have to say. In terms of a non-alcohol beer, it's pretty good. Yeah, fruitiness, I would definitely stick with that. A little bit of mango, a little bit of an apricot note, and a wee touch of like gooseberry maybe. Yeah, gooseberry, limey notes. So yeah, this is an interesting one. This has been really interesting to review, I have to say. So yeah, thumbs up to Põhjala for this. I think they've done a good job with this beer. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I would say it is pretty light-bodied, but it does thicken up a bit later, so top end of light bodied, bottom end of mid bodied is maybe fair. Carbonation I find quite crisp on this one, which is nice. Suits it, especially the slightly lighter mouthfeel. The mouthfeel overall, a little bit wet, a little bit crisp, but very nice. In terms of IBUs, I'd want to say this is maybe about 40 or 50. I actually find this a little bit more bitter than the original Virmalised. I would be more tempted to say this was 50 IBUs than the other one. I find this a bit more bitter. Maybe that's the spruce tips, in fairness. But yeah, middle of your palate, lovely kind of smooth, kind of malty backbone to it. Like I said, it's got a lovely smoothness to it, this beer, but in fairness, a bit of crispness. Nice little bit of lighter fruity notes, and you've also got just, you've got a little bit of a hoppy bitterness to the beer, like I said. So yeah, a really interesting one, this. This has been a really interesting review. Like I said to you, I've not reviewed too many non-alcohol and low-alcohol beers. Do give me your recommendations in the comment section below. I'd be really interested in that. But yeah, impressed with this one. So once again, well done to Põhjala for this. You know, there's a lot of very capable breweries in Estonia, and these guys, you know, not surprised that they pulled off a really good non-alcohol beer. But yeah, let's leave it at that then. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Põhjala as well. Do give me some non-alcohol, low-alcohol beer recommendations. This is something I really need to explore. But I think this one was pretty damn good. So yeah, the Virmalised a beer less than 5% in alcohol, IPA from Põhjala in Tallinn here in Estonia. Till the next time, it's Slander just now. I'll catch you guys soon. Check out my social media, check out Põhjala, and I will catch you guys later. Slander, Skull, Tervi 6.